All right, welcome back to another Wright Stew podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright. And hey, Friday, best day. Get through it. Got the weekend ahead of you, Paulie. Big plans. Do you have big plans this weekend?
No, we got our last coach pitch practice of the year on Sunday. I think
already almost over.
We got two left. We got the A's and the White Sox on the schedule, and that's wrapping up, and that'll be our last games for, I guess, the spring season. Both daughters are second daughter's out. Their team lost today, so they're out. The oldest plays later today, so we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully they win and stay alive. They lost game one. Heartbreaker, man. 1-0.
And against the number 1 seed, right?
Against the one, yeah, they're the 8 seed. Our girl threw a gem, gave up one run in the first. A couple of kind of like Baltimore chops got over the shortstop's head, so nothing really hit hard. And then I talked to my daughter after the game, and we talked a little bit about this. And she was beating herself up, so she DH'd and was 0 for 2 with a walk. But her last at bat struck out. Looking and was like, why didn't I do this? Why? I'm like, honey, like you can't. It's one at bat. It takes a whole team to win. Takes the whole team to lose. And I talked to you about it, and she had seen, I think up to that point, 14 or 15 total pitches, and all of them had been on the outer third or off the plate away. She's a right-handed hitter, and then full count her last at bat, they just busted her in. And I was watching the at bat, and you could tell she was kind of lunging a little bit, waiting for the pitch away. And just kind of just froze her up. And I was like, man, that was just a great sequence. That was some good pitching. And I was like, because she pitched, I was like, look, you've struck out so many girls. I've seen you strike out hundreds of girls looking like that. And I know, and she just wants to win so bad. And it's the conference tournament. And she's like, man, our girl pitched so well. I just wanted to get a run for her and keep the game, extend the game. And who knows what happened? So it was the right thing, and she was taking it real hard. So it's tough to see those sort of things.
Well, I'd say this. I mean, definitely, you said it, a good sequence. I mean, that was the sequence back in the day. I felt like that was, especially if you were kind of a respected hitter, because kind of when you're growing up, man, you got to make one side your strong side. I know that somewhat of that philosophy has changed now. I feel like we talk about hitting the ball the other way a lot earlier. I can remember when I was kids, they talk about guys getting to the big leagues. And, like, yeah, his first couple years, he was all pull. Like, yeah. It was big league guys starting to hit the ball the other way once they got to the big leagues. And now that philosophy has changed a bit to where we talk about hitting the ball deep and hitting the ball the other way at a very young age. And I'm not sure what's right or wrong, but I will say that sequence was always tough for me, too. Early in the count, I was looking for something to right center, and then late in the count, I was one of those guys that if I could reach it, I was probably going to swing at it. I wasn't going to put it in the umpire's hands, and it's tough. I mean, obviously you don't do that always, but that's a tough sequence.
Yeah, and I think had she swung, it would have just been a jam sandwich, and because she had her leaning out, and I mean,
it's tough. I'll tell you what else is tough. Bill Belichick goes on this past week, I guess past Sunday maybe, and kind of does the interview. I believe it's a 60 Minutes or one of the morning shows. Okay. And he's promoting a book, and it was supposed to be about his coaching life, supposed to be about, kind of how his philosophy has worked, and, he's promoting a book. And supposedly, his publicist had kind of expressed, hey, we want this interview to go this way. And then it gets into a very personal, relationship with a young girlfriend and and then she steps in and then North Carolina has to put out a statement for all this stuff. And it's very un-Bill Belichick-like. That's all I was just commenting on. I feel like with his year off, he got used to kind of being a part of the media, maybe almost trusting the media. And I wonder if Bill doesn't go back to a different kind of version of Bill after kind of being kind of like, I got you kind of media. What's really what this last interview was. He put out a statement and said basically, hey, man, we talked for 35, 40 minutes. there was 8 or 10 minutes that was kind of awkward because they were going down a path I wasn't looking to go down, and it got really awkward. And obviously his girlfriend kind of stepped in, and yeah.
I think with the Patriots, he was always very guarded, very monotone. He stayed on script. Like he was going to say the 5 things he wanted to say after the game. You'd ask him like, "Hey, Bill, tell me about the run game." Well, Tom Brady was 5 for 7 in the first quarter, and that really helped the run game. But we got to do passing better. Yeah, he just said the things he wanted to say. He stayed on script, and very famously, the Patriots kept everything in house. There wasn't they never really had the big ego guys. I mean, clearly they had Tom Brady and had Randy Moss for a little bit, but it was like the Patriot way, and you get in line or you get out of line. And you're right when you go on and I didn't see the interview. I read a little bit about it, but I guess his girlfriend was on there. And you're right when you get those kind of long form interviews and you cut out snippets of it. I mean, you can make somebody look as great or as terrible as you want because there's going to be something. I mean, we're nearly at 150 episodes now, right? With you and I, you could pull 10 minutes of us being fantastic and saying the smartest stuff in the world, or you can pull some 10 minutes of us just hemming and hawing and being idiots as well, right? And kind of frame it any way you want to frame it. And I think, dude, that's a big problem with social media and a lot of things out there now. And we've seen guys who were younger post stuff on, Twitter or X or Instagram when they were, 12 and 13 and getting called out.
Or maybe even 15, 16, right? And then it comes back around and it's like, dude, first of all, I don't think it's good that you're posting at that age. But if you are, I don't think you can be held to the same standard as a 30-year-old who's fully got frontal lobe development.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was interesting. I mean, I guess as you get to a point, he definitely feels, all the guys who always played for Bill were always like, man, he's got a great personality. He's fun being around. He's no nonsense, but he's got a great sense of humor. Yeah. Then you started seeing it kind of in the media. And then he ends up with this girlfriend that's 50 years younger, literally. And it's just kind of an interesting dynamic. And I think what else is interesting, I know we talked about it, but it's kind of, he's going full circle. I guess his dad coached in North Carolina, so he's back at North Carolina, kind of his last hurrah. But it'd be interesting to see how the media treats him now, right? I think he had kind of put himself in a position where it feels like college, you have to be a little bit more media savvy because you are recruiting. And you've always trying to get that next message out to a player. To whereas in the NFL, I'm going to draft you or I'm going to sign you. I'm paying you either way. You do your job or I'm going to get somebody else. It feels like he's trying to play that game a little bit more. But it is a tough game because you see it all the time in politics. They can spin stuff in a way that is positive and when it's not positive, depending on how they want to cut it.
Yeah. Did you see the shirt that Belichick was wearing for that interview?
No.
So it looks like a cut-off sweatshirt. It says Navy across the front, but there's like holes all in it. It looks like something my 17, 18-year-old daughter would wear that she bought at the store where you pay extra per hole, but it looks like he was cutting the sleeves off and just got a little happy and started cutting other holes in it. I don't know if that was intentional or if he was.
Well, 100% is. I mean, that's always been his message, right? The clothes don't matter. What you do matters, which I kind of appreciate it. I'm much more about the bang than I am for the talk of the bang. And so it's, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that's probably one of the, outside of how my Wolfpack do, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. And I think another interesting thing that's going to happen is how Dion does not coaching his kids for the first time ever.
Holy smokes, yeah, that'll be
a different. I'll just be curious. He's brought in a lot of good guys. I think Marshall Faulk's going to work with him.
Nice.
He's obviously got Warren Sapp down there working with him. He's got a lot of good guys, and he's gotten a lot of hate for these last, and rightfully so in some ways, because he made some kind of, I don't want to say absurd, but definitely could be taken in a negative connotation and hurt Shador. But it'll be interesting to see what he does whenever he gets back around to, coaching without his kids is kind of there and
Yeah.
kind of the reason why probably because it's not like he has to work. He can work TV, work half the hours, and
He's fine. He's got
fine.
all the money
Yeah,
he needs. Yeah, but I think
yeah.
he's got some other things. And again, he seems like he's truly mentoring and pouring into some young men that one of the interesting things that I read, so we talked about the draft and him slipping in the draft and that. So Dion, I guess, was the representation, or they did not hire an agent.
Until they went through, I know Friday. I think they didn't hire an agent until Saturday, bro, or
Yeah.
Friday night or something. It was really late in the process.
And like of all people, you would think Dion would. I think he had. I'm assuming he had agent. You would think he understood the need, and that was some of the stuff I'm reading now. Not to why he slipped, but why it's like no, like. And you mentioned this the other day, Brian. Nobody told him the truth, or
Yeah,
they didn't get that message, or they were blind to it, or whatever it is. Whereas that's an agent's job to prepare you for that or to lobby for you and to get rid of some of that muck that may be out there about you, right? That and those kind of games and stories happen all the time during drafts, right? I like in my own personal story, I had heard that there was somebody that put the rumor out or the word. Again, I don't know this to be valid, but somebody said, "Hey, Paul's not going to sign unless he gets $1 million." And so that hurt my draft stock, right? Because I wasn't, and at the time, $1 million was for the top 15 guys, realistically. I mean, people now like $1 million, that's into the fifth round. But in 1996, if you got over 1 million, you were like a top 10, 12, 15 kind of guy, maybe a little later. So again, but I had my agent heard that, he found out, like those sort of things, right? And so that was pretty interesting to hear that because agents catch a lot of crap for for what they do and who they are and their kind of their place in sports. But the good ones, I mean, we've talked about Scott Boras. I mean, people hate him, but he makes his players money, and that's ultimately what the agent's job is, right?
yeah, and I agree, and somewhat controlling, which they were really missing, and you hit on it the nail on the head. There were so many people within the NFL that were telling Dion what he wanted to hear,
Yeah,
and didn't ever get the truth. But I'd also say they can be advocates for you, and they can kind of be honest with you. Hey, this is the truth. Like you're saying all
yeah,
this stuff. Hey, I don't want to go to Browns. I don't want to go to the Giants. Or maybe I do or don't. Hey, you don't need to worry about it. Hey, Shador, you really need to throw during this combine because they're concerned about how quick you get rid of the ball.
yeah,
Hey, you really need to play this senior game because there's some doubt. If you go out here and really bust it during the senior game, hey, you're going to be a first or second round pick. But if you don't play it at all, you'll get drafted, but you're not going to have your options. And so it's interesting. I'll go back to like the baseball agent was in college baseball specifically now they're called advisors.
yeah,
Um, it's really an interesting place that they're in now too because they're around college and not used to they'd be around, and especially if guys were draft eligible, try to have some conversations, develop some relationships. Now they're around a freshman, right? So they're a freshman. If a freshman has had a really good year, they're either asking more money from where they're at, or they're calling schools and saying, "Hey, I've got a kid who's going to be a sophomore next year. He's hitting 350 in the ACC, and hey, what can you bring to the table?" And
yeah.
my understanding is they're getting a lot higher percentage. Agents, typical pro agents, 3-4%,
It's like three
depend
to
on
five. Yeah, like three to
yeah,
five.
yeah, depend on
And
the
then
deal.
it tiers depending on if it's team money, if it's endorsement money. It kind of is tiered depending on what you sign with your agent. But
Yeah, so my understanding is a lot of these advisors are getting 15 to 20%. So
oh
you, so they're getting you get a guy that gets $300,000-$400,000, all of a sudden the agent's getting $50,000-$75,000, and it's going to be interesting to see where college baseball is, and even 5 years. I don't think we've really still got a picture. There's still talk of putting a kind of a cap on all money for an institution to spend or for a university to spend. And I think that sounds good until you realize that they're going to spend a lot of their money or all their money on football because that's the revenue.
Yeah.
But I would say there's some that are seeing kind of, hey, baseball can make money. The SEC schools are making money in baseball. There's no question.
Yeah. I
But
think
I
they're
could be wrong.
probably so they're probably the exception, the SEC. I mean, I don't think Big Ten schools are making money in baseball, or maybe a couple of ACC schools, but I don't think like, Pitt and Syracuse, they're not.
No, I don't think they are. I would be curious now to see a school like NC State, North Carolina. I mean, we went on that Tuesday night and it was packed, but packed is 4,000 fans, right?
Yeah.
Um, now you're charging $13 a beer. Maybe you are making
There's
money. Maybe you are making money.
toughy.
$12 for a cheesesteak, and so maybe you are. But it takes a lot of people to make that happen too. There's vendors and stuff working. From a business standpoint, though, that's the next place they actually can grow. Like NC State's football stadium has been about the same size for a long time, and there's been situations where it's been sold out for long periods of time, and there's been situations where it hasn't been so much. And so you can't justify adding seats, maybe suite. And so your next way to actually, if you could turn baseball into a revenue generating sport, then you can kind of work your way down. You assume men's and women's basketball is revenue generating. And a lot of places, women's volleyball, dude, you go out to Nebraska, some of those, I mean, they're selling out 20,000 seat stadiums. And so it's going to be
Well, I think Nebraska is again an exception. There's something else. There's a lot of D1 schools that.
Well, I'll say this: we watched because Nebraska obviously had the reputation that they had, and so we end up seeing Penn State, seeing some again big institutions. But dude, there's 14,000 students at this, or I shouldn't say students, but fans at these games.
Yeah. Well, they have.
Hey, I'll say another one that gets packed, dude. I'd be curious where their money is and how they look. Gymnastics. You ever see gymnastics on TV?
I see it. I don't really watch it. No, I've never.
I do. I can. I appreciate the athleticism. Hey, how your body works, your gait. So I definitely see it. And dude, they're packed. They're packed.
Yeah, we had a family friend whose daughter went to Georgia and did gymnastics there for 4 years. I think it was like All American for a couple of years, and
really good.
Like was legitimately, I think, had the opportunity to go to like the Bella Caroli.
Bella Caroli.
When she was young, very young, like 8, 9, 10 in that range, she was identified that early for the next Olympics, because most of those gymnasts are like 16 to 18. Because once you start maturing and things like that, you can't be as, I guess, flexible or do the same thing. So.
Well, I just think your weight kind of drops, and dude, the joints on that. We had somebody in our neighborhood that went to NC State and wants to gymnast, and dude, I mean, I remember when I played, and she I can't remember whether she tore her Achilles but she had lower leg injuries.
Yeah.
But I remember we shared training rooms with the gymnasts at NC State when I was there, and dude, every year they had 2 girls that would tear their Achilles. I mean, it was. I mean, and these are 5'2", muscular,
they're tiny, just tiny muscles. Yeah. They're just short, little, muscular ladies, young women. So it's really impressive. But I think it feels like that's an SEC thing where those schools are.
I think the ACC does it. I mean, again, all sports, the SEC is a tier above.
Yeah.
But I would say, like. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really dug into any numbers. It's just my perception.
We'll dig into it. So, Brian, you opened up by asking me what was on the weekend. What do you have going on the weekend?
Well, not a whole lot, man. My son is supposed to play later today, but kind of a pretty badly tweaked hip flexor. We're going on about 2.5 weeks at this point with not swinging a bat. Brought out the old school 10 unit. Haven't seen one of those in a long time, and put it on there. Seemed to maybe, been doing some different things. Maybe should have been doing that earlier.
Never know. You never know.
Never know. And then don't have anything necessarily on this weekend. A lot of yard work, a lot of that kind of stuff. Hopefully my son gets a little bit better. We'll at least take a few swings. He's not incapable of swinging right now left-handed without feeling it in his hip. Maybe he'll quit flying with the front hip if the front hip hurts, and so he can learn to get the hands through the ball a little bit better.
think they're calling for a lot of rain on Sunday, so maybe not a whole lot there. We got some NBA and NHL action going on this weekend. So watching, might have some game sixes, game sevens coming up in some NBA. So those are always fun to watch.
Hey, and now this is when I become a Hurricanes fan for real.
You
Second
had,
round of the playoffs.
we had the great tickets this year. We had fun at the game.
Yeah, we're going to get. I can get access maybe to some as well. I don't know. Playoff hockey is a little bit more challenging, but if you get access, we need to go do a little vlog again. But hey, Capitals and the Hurricanes, it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That'll be a fun one.
Hey, last one that we haven't talked about at all. LeBron going out in 5.
Yeah,
Luka missing a layup kind of was the epiphany of what the game was or what the series was. Kind of slow, not great defensively.
Luka doesn't play defense,
and
He'll score with anybody.
It's really interesting that him and Joker both, and again, I guess because they're whites, but you can't even, I don't claim them hard as whites because they're European.
Yeah.
But they have been kind of crowned as like these top 5 players. And definitely the Joker at times because he can do things shooting the basketball that looks.
He averaged a triple-double this year, Brian.
Yeah. But just athletically, they don't do anything for me. Ant, he does something for me. SGA does something for me. LeBron at 40 years old, love him, hate him. I hate how he flops so much. Dude, it's incredible. I mean, the athletic ability of those guys is out the gym. Ant, I mean, he looks like he moves different than even great athlete NBA guys. Yeah. And I think he is my favorite player to watch.
So I just did I typed in Google top 5 players in the NBA right now. Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Luka, SGA, and Jason Tatum is what it spit out at me.
Tatum, Tatum's an interesting one, dude, because I've seen him play, and man, feels like at times he can be shut down. He's a great player. Obviously, him and Kobe were tight. He's kind of tried to honor that Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
But SGA is awesome. But I'm kind of an Anthony guy. I mean, I'm a big fan of what they got going on in Minnesota right now.
Yeah. He's a good ball player. So we'll watch the little NBA, maybe. There's been a request for me to smoke some meats this weekend too, so we'll see if that works out. So maybe I'll have to bust the old tent out if I want to do that, to do it on the back porch. So
all right, we'll make it happen, Captain. Hey, let's get out of here. We got things to do, baby.
All right. Well, hey, have a great Friday. Hey, make sure you share, subscribe, like all the things. Hey, leave us some comments on Apple Pods or Spotify. We appreciate that. And make it a great Friday. And we'll see you on the weekend.
Out, go Pack and Tigers.